2, 1.
My college kids all over this country. I was in Pennsylvania with someone who...
Jeremy, first of all, your future is bright. And the fact that you're making
those companies back on their feet so they can start hiring...
And that, don't take my word for it, take the executives...
federal lands and in federal water. So where'd the increase come from? Well, a lot of it came from the Bakken Range in North Dakota. What was...
But our production is going up, and we're using oil more efficiently. And very little of what Governor Romney just said...
And in federal waters in half.
Not true, Governor Romney.
So how much did you cut them by?
Not true.
By how much did you cut them by then?
Governor, we have actually produced more oil.
No. How much did you cut licenses and permits on federal land and federal waters?
Governor Romney, here's what we did. There were a whole bunch of oil companies.
No, I had a question, and the question was, how much did you cut them by?
You want me to answer
How much did you cut them by?
I'm happy to answer the question.
All right, and it is?
Here's what happened. You had a whole bunch of oil companies who had leases on public lands that they weren't using, or you lose it.
Okay,
and so what we did was take away those leases, and we are now reletting them so that we can actually make a profit.
And production on government lands is down.
No, it isn't.
Production on government land of oil is down 14%. And production on gas is down 9%.
It's just not true.
It's absolutely true. Look,
is us ignoring the other half of the equation. So
I appreciate wind jobs in Iowa and across our country.
He also wants to spend $2 trillion on additional military.
President, have you looked at your pension? Have you looked at your pension?
You know, I don't look at my pension. It's not as big as yours, so it doesn't.
Well, let me give you some. Let me give you some advice.
I don't check it that often.
United States. You also.
Down, Governor Romney. Thank you.
I do want to make sure that we just understand something.
It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
How this was a spontaneous reaction.
I'm happy to have a talk about deficits. If we're adding to our deficit for tax cuts for folks who don't need them,
or instead whether we just didn't know what happened, I think you have to ask yourself, why didn't we know 5 days later when the ambassador to the United Nations...
If we're adding to our deficit for tax cuts for folks who don't need them, and we're cutting investments in research and science that will create the next Apple,